Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to do something that I've been thinking about doing for a little while because at night I keep falling down a rabbit hole of SCPs. I've done that before a little bit, but I haven't gone too crazy with it in the past. But I wanted to do a little bit of a dive into a couple SCPs that just kind of sound interesting. I'm just going to start at the 001 to 099 list. Obviously, there are so many different SCPs as you can see here on the table of contents, but I just wanted to read some of them that are interesting, and then sometimes it links to another SCP that's being used with that SCP, so it's something that I find interesting. But if you don't understand what an SCP is, secure, contain, protect, that's that, but it's also hang on, it says it somewhere. Whoa. I don't know what any of that nonsense is. Okay, hang on. I want to find a good example. Yeah, so also you have the special containment procedures, which it just kind of depends on every SCP. An SCP is essentially an anomaly. It could be anything from an apple tree that clones whatever touches it to essentially one of the weeping angels, kind of, from, what is that? Doctor Who. I haven't watched Doctor Who, but I know what it is. So it's just various things like that. Some of them are jokes. Some of them aren't meant to be funny. Some of them are honestly straight up horrifying. But they're identified by an SCP number, and then they're given a class such as Euclid, Keter, Safe. It just depends on what the item or anomaly is, and then it kind of gets into the special containment procedures, and then it gets into the description. So it's kind of like a mimicry of a secret government website classifying these different anomalies into where they should be, like how you contain it, and just think some of them have just interesting stories or addendums or different redactions, all these little black spots. Obviously it's nothing real that we know of, but yeah. So I'm just gonna go through some of the ones that seem kind of interesting to me, and we'll just kind of go from there. I don't know how many I'll do, but we'll see what happens. The Concrete Man, I think that one was featured in the SCP Containment Breach game, which I've never played, but I've seen some gameplay of. Let's see. World War II era molecular fission cannon. Object class safe, somehow with that picture. Image capture of SCP-044 during an experiment titled Upshot Nolte Fort Grable. SCP-044, object class safe. Special containment procedures. A constant stream of hydrogen ions, unbound oxygen atoms, and other trace-free radicals emanate from the muzzle of SCP-044 at all times. Because of this, the docking stations of SCP-044 are to be well ventilated to keep dangerous gases and moisture from accumulating. Muzzle coverings are to be fitted at all times to keep birds and small animals from investigating the large open barrel of SCP-044. I guess it's that. It's essentially the cannon itself. Addendum. It's been mostly redacted. As SCP-044 has not been involved in any significant incidents in the blank years it has been held by the Foundation, SCP-044 has been reclassified as safe. Must I really define significant incidents? If containment procedures and standard safety protocols are followed, 44 appears to be no more dangerous than any big redacted gun. No, the bear incident does not count. I assume this is that person's classification number. Description. SCP-044 is a howitzer secretly manufactured in the late stages of the Second World War by Krupp engineers, personally supervised by Albert Speer, German Minister of Armaments and War Production under Adolf Hitler. SCP-044 is unique not only because of its size, 251,000 kilograms, or 251 metric tons, but also because it fires unconventional artillery using an atypical delivery method. Rather than having a breech for loading shells, the rear of the barrel is configured into a massive air compression chamber. Any object or pile of objects that fits may be loaded into SCP-44's muzzle to be used as ammunition. Because of its size, SCP-044 must remain rail-mounted and requires 2 freight locomotives to move. Researchers believe that SCP-044 weakens molecular and atomic bonds in any material loaded into its muzzle. However, the method by which SCP-044 affects molecular bonds is not known, due primarily to the numerous complex mechanisms that compose the housing and workings of SCP-044. In fact, some mechanisms appear useless and seem to do nothing other than spin or make noise, even when SCP-044 is not supplied with power. both equipment and personnel have been lost while exploring the inside of SCP-044's barrel. When SCP-044 is fired, all matter within its barrel is ejected at a high rate of speed as a glowing red slug, proportional in size to the amount of mass loaded into the muzzle. Upon striking a solid object or the ground, the slug explodes with a yield proportional to the mass of the original ammunition at no less than a redacted % mass-to-energy conversion rate. The yield will also increase somewhat the longer the slug remains in the barrel. The greatest known yield was achieved when the administrator's 8,900 kilogram or 19,500 pound personal diesel pickup truck was loaded in its entirety into the muzzle of SCP-044 and fired in the pictured experiment. So that's the result of essentially loading a diesel pickup truck into this cannon. It's a fucking nuke. So it's things like that where it's like it seems like it's just a regular howitzer, except it's anomalous degree. So that one didn't really branch out anywhere. Let's see where else we can maybe go. That was 4-4. We got the time-traveling train. That's interesting. It's a Euclid class, SCP-052, Special Containment Procedures. Although it is not possible to remove SCP-052 from the New York City subway system, its predictable behavior allows the Foundation to prevent the public from encountering it. The 59th Street A-B-C-D station is to be closed to the public from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Saturdays/Sundays under the pretext of track maintenance. During that time, the station is to be staffed with agents from Mobile Task Force Gamma-6. Agents have been ordered to prevent accidental public access to the station and to capture anyone seen leaving SCP-052. Anyone who has been on SCP-052 must be transported to Site-21 for debriefing and processing. Members of the public who see SCP-052 may be released after the administration of a Class B amnestic. Description: SCP-052 is a Type R4 New York City subway train. Official records indicate this train was built in 1932 and decommissioned for scrap in 1975. Nevertheless, it continues to appear on the Uptown A/D track at the 59th Street and 8th Avenue station at 11:57 p.m. every Saturday. The train is in perfect condition and labeled as an A train. SCP-052 appears at the designated time, opens its doors to accept or discharge passengers for approximately 5 minutes, then closes its doors and disappears. It does not appear to ever contain passengers, except for those leaving the train during its appearance. The majority of subjects that have boarded SCP-052 have not been recovered. Passengers leaving SCP-052 claim to have boarded on various dates, from 1976 up to 2204. The latter claims he thought SCP-052 was the 300th anniversary special train. Subjects retained no knowledge of time on board. Addendum: passengers leaving SCP-052 must be brought to Site-21 and interrogated to determine their origin and possible threat to the current time stream. Generally, passengers from the past may be given Class A amnestics and reintegrated into society. Passengers from the future must be held indefinitely. See Order 69-A1 from 05-9. Site-21 currently holds 26 recovered passengers. Despite our protocols to prevent public access, we are still receiving subjects from the future. Although some are from alternate timelines, it is possible SCP-052 will begin to appear at another time and place, requiring expanded containment. The Foundation has placed several subjects onto the train in an attempt to understand its activities when not visible. Test 052-1, May 31st, 2009, Agent Redacted, placed on train, not recovered as of present date. Test 052-2, June 6th, 2009, Agent Redacted enters train, not recovered as he apparently returned to 1980 and was killed in a confrontation with blank. Moving on to Test 052-3, see notes on recovered passenger 052-4. After Test 052-3, 05 Command issued orders that no further agents should be risked as passengers on SCP-052. Consideration has been given to using Class D personnel in their place, but the risk of releasing them into the past is too great. Log of recovered passengers in Foundation custody. Passenger 052-1 entered train July 14, 2012. Recovered March 8, 2008. Notes: an accountant on the way home from the theater when she entered the train. 052-1 has expressed surprise and dismay to have traveled back in time 4 years, but appears to be otherwise unchanged and unharmed. She has been determined to currently exist in this timeline and must be held indefinitely to prevent unwanted temporal effects. 052-2 entered train June 12, 1976, recovered March 15, 2008. Notes: subject entered train when lost on the way to Studio 54 Although unharmed and not a temporal threat, 052-2 is being held as the examining psychiatrist believes 32 years is too long a period over which to facilitate successful reintegration. Yeah, probably. I would say so. But yeah, so I mean, you've just got a couple different examples such as that. I will read 052-4 real quick. Entered train June 13th, 2009. Recovered June 27th, 2009. Notes agent redacted from test 052-3. Agent returned with his hands surgically removed and a note in his pocket saying with the message, "Send no more." Subject does not remember his experience on the train, but when subjected to hypnosis revealed data expunged. That's crazy! That's crazy! It does shit it gets like weird. It's so cool. And then we got 052-5. Now I gotta keep reading. Agent redacted. Entered train at unknown future date in violation of protocol. On July 11th, 2009, body of subject was violently thrown from the train, landing 10 meters away. On examination, subject was found to have been data expunged. Whether security should be increased to prevent subject from entering SCP-052 is under consideration. Yeah, I would say so. Wow. Yeah, so you just got like interesting stuff like this, and I want to look one up real quick. No, it doesn't give it to me. Because this all came about because I was rethinking about the Unis Honest video where they had SCP-11325 Amy, which I can't show, unfortunately, because Unis Honest doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, I guess that's not going to work. So I'm going to do one more of these because I do have to leave soon. Alright, back here. So that was 052. Interesting. World's best Tothbrush. SCP-063, Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-063 is to be kept at all times within Dr. Redacted's personal bathroom, located within the personnel quarters upon Site-19. Object is to be used as designed at least once in a 24-hour period, or the object will begin to emit an unknown specialized radiation that results in objects and material within a 0.6 meter or 2 foot radius being slowly warped and eventually disintegrating into fine dust. Radiation's effect on living test subjects has not been monitored. Interesting. So you have to use it, otherwise it destroys everything in a 2-foot radius? That's crazy. Okay. Description. SCP-063 appears to be an average pale blue toothbrush. Stenciled along the side of the object are the words, "The world's best Tothbrush." The word toothbrush is spelled incorrectly, though whether this was accidental or a purposeful action by the creators of the object is unknown. SCP-063 displays the ability to effortlessly cleave through any and all dead or inorganic matter, the focal point of this ability being the bristles. However, matter touched by the bristles is not separated, such as by way of a knife, but completely expunged from existence, leaving no trace whatsoever. This mode of operation is reminiscent of SCP-2207, suggesting the two anomalies share a connection or were created by the same entity or entities. Additionally, subjects who have used SCP-063 have claimed that the experience left their teeth feeling remarkably clean. In spite of its extraordinary abilities, lab analysis has discerned that SCP-063 is completely made of common plastic. Addendum: SCP-063 was originally found in St. Petersburg on the person of Blank, a thief working in the area using SCP-063's abilities to crack safes. When questioned about the object, subject professed ignorance, claiming that he simply found the object one day. Questioning of the subject continued until he took his own life. His reason for doing this is, as of yet, unknown. So now we've got a reference to SCP-2207, which is also safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2207 is to be contained in a small cardboard box filled with foam within a standard safe glass storage locker. We have this cut out. When not used for testing, all testing with SCP-2207 is to be done in a Containment Laboratory 8803. After testing Containment Laboratory 8803, it's to be decontaminated and checked for damage. As of Test 42, exploration by D-Class and/or Foundation personnel beyond SCP-2207-1 instances are preemptively denied. As of Incident 2207-01, all tests involving SCP-2207 are to be suspended. SCP-2207 is a redacted brand disposable plastic knife. testing has indicated that outside of SCP-2207's anomalous properties, it is identical to other non-anomalous disposable plastic knives. When the cutting edge of SCP-2207 reaches a minimum speed of 6 meters per second, it severs local space-time, creating a rift that connects to a random alternate universe. These rifts are designated as SCP-2207-1. Instances of SCP-2207-1 typically last approximately 5 minutes without outside intervention, and the length is equal to the distance that SCP-2207 traveled at or above 6 meters per second. Instances remain stationary after creation, but may be widened by pulling along the edges. Instances may be kept artificially open for a maximum of 24 hours by placing any material across the instance's threshold. After 24 hours, the SCP-2207-1 instance closes, severing any material crossing the threshold. Exploration Log. The following is a partial abridged exploration log. See document 2207-24 for a full log of tests, explorations, and recovered material from SCP-2207-1 instances. In all tests, a mechanical arm was used to create SCP-2207-1 instances, and the SCP-2207-1 instance was propped open by a set of metal braces. It has been later determined that at least 3 other alternate realities accessed by different SCPs, including SCP-1165, may be the result of prior testing with SCP-2207. Date 19 redacted, June 12th. Test 10, Exploration 1, D-Class only, equipped with standard recovery harness and cable, radio, video, umbilical, and level C PPE. 24 hours. Overview. The breach point of Universe 10 is in a hallway, with white walls, fluorescent lighting, and tiled floor. A set of double doors is on the opposite side. D-2207-1 does not report any unusual sensations upon breaching the SCP-2207-1 instance, and is instructed to pass through the double doors. 1 minute into the test, D-2207-1 reports that he is no closer to the doors than when he started. Video confirms this. However, 84 meters of recovery cable and umbilical has been fed through the SCP-2207-1 instance, and visual inspection from outside the instance indicates that D-2207-1 has walked halfway through the hallway. D-2207-1 is instructed to keep moving forward and complies despite mild protest. After 2 more minutes, D-2207-1 reports he is still no closer to the doors. Video confirms this, and an additional 168 meters of cable and umbilical has been fed through the SCP-2207-1 instance. Visual inspection from outside the SCP-2207-1 instance indicates that D-2207-1 has not moved more than halfway through the hallway. At this point, D-2207-1 is recalled. From outside of the SCP-2207-1 instance, D-2207-1 is seen to turn around. D-2207-1 reports that the SCP-2207-1 instance is much further, with video indicating a distance of approximately 250 meters. D-2207-1 runs towards the SCP-2207-1 instance while the recall cable is activated. D-2207-1 is visibly seen to run in place from the exterior of the SCP-2207-1 instance. 252 meters of recovery cable had been recalled after 30 seconds, filling the spool. Research personnel begin to physically pull on the recovery cable, trying to manually recall D-2207-1. D-2207-1 reports that he's no closer than before to the instance. 3 minutes and 30 seconds into the test, D-2207-1 is instructed to stop moving, and given the explanation that technical difficulties compounded by his movement are hampering recovery efforts. An additional 108 meters of recovery cable and video umbilical is manually recalled over the next 30 seconds, with researchers noting that they don't feel any additional weight on the other end. Video and observation from the SCP-2207-1 instance indicates that D-2207-1 looks behind him. Video shows that the double doors appear to be much further behind him than before, and D-2207-1 begins to run towards the instance. 10 hours into the test, D-2207-1 has largely stopped his attempts at self-recovery. During this period of time, D-2207-1 was seen to alternate between running, walking, jogging, and sobbing. Exploration ends after a period of 24 hours due to the forced closure of SCP-2207-1 instance. Metal braces, the recovery cable, and the radio-video umbilical were severed. D-2207-1 is not recovered, and an additional redacted meters of recovery cable and radio-video umbilical were recovered. Examination of the recovered cable and umbilical indicate no deviances from Foundation standard, apart from the anomalously added length. Jesus. 5 more explorations. We're gonna kind of breeze through this one a little bit. How long have I been recording? 23 minutes. Jesus Christ. This test took 16 minutes and 32 seconds. The breach point of Universe 25 is a small alley of large unnamed city. 2207-7 reports a sensation of vertigo upon breaching the instance. During the immediate stages of exploration, materials are recovered, mostly refuse. And D2207-7 reports 3 additional vertigo-like sensations and an occasional stare from inhabitants of Universe 25. The latter is determined to not be a breach of exploration protocol, as D2207-7 is dressed in level C PPE. At approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds into the test, he reports a 5th sensation of vertigo, and levels of ambient light begin to notably diminish. He looks up without being directed towards the sun. The sun appears to be undergoing a solar eclipse. However, the occluding object does not pass over the sun, but instead appears to originate from the center of the sun. After 1 minute and 30 seconds, the unknown object has fully occluded the sun, including the corona. He is ordered to come back, but is unable to as the unknown occluding object appears to attract objects on the ground. Video indicates D2207-7, as well as other individuals, vehicles, and other objects are lifted into the air, moving towards the unknown including object. The attracting force does not extend past the 2207-1 instance. There is no meaningful communication from D2207-7 during this period of time. The recall cable is activated, and D2207-7 is recovered within 1 minute. The metal braces propping the SCP-2207-1 instance is removed, and the instance is allowed to close naturally. Okay, so that guy was able to get pulled back in. God, they keep exploring this shit. That's crazy. This one's 2 hours. This one's 24 hours again. Yeah, so there's just a lot of stuff. There's incidents here. This letter was found addressed to Site Redacted Administration. To whom it may concern, it has come to the attention of Redacted that multiple recent Yggdrasil severance events are tied to the actions performed by your organization, the SCP Foundation. As Universe 8D57-FE2... I don't know what symbol that is. It's not a theta. I don't know what the fuck that is. -D, the universe your organization inhabits, has displayed limited multiversal travel capability prior to these incidents. It is believed that the actions performed by your organization are both without malice or full knowledge of the resulting repercussions. This correspondence is therefore considered to be a lawful cease and desist order by Redacted. Further actions on your organization's part that contribute to a Yggdrasil... I keep fucking saying that wrong. Yggdrasil, I think, is how that's pronounced. Contribute to an Yggdrasil severance event will result in one or more of the following: official censure of universe hours and its inhabitants. Censure, that's crazy. Fines upwards of 87 million some sort of currency per Yggdrasil severance event. Minimum imprisonment of 3,000 stellar cycles per Yggdrasil severance event. That's crazy. Intervention by Redacted Armed Forces or forced Yggdrasil severance event of universe. Oh. Okay. For your convenience, attached is a list of dates and times when Yggdrasil severance events have been detected. Please be sure to refer to the list so you may comply with this lawful order. We thank you for your cooperation. Signed, Sigma Zotoxin, Office of Multiversal Incidents. After receiving the letter, all testing was halted in response. As of 2015, August. As of August 3rd, 2015, there has been no further correspondence from the entity Sigma Zotoxin or Redacted. I assume that's that organization. Yeah, so you get crazy stuff like that. I mean, some of it can be vaguely boring-ish, but some of it's really interesting. I like this one. I like the idea that it's just opening rifts to universes and we just keep testing it, because that's what humans do when allowed that opportunity. So yeah, I just think it's a very interesting kind of like thought experiment to just go through this. And I love the way it's structured, like it's actual government research that's being like put on the hush-hush on the DL. And it's not real. None of this is real. Someone just wrote this. Someone just had a lot of time and a really cool idea on their hands, and they just wrote this stuff. There's so many SCPs. There's so many SCPs. Time pervert? What the hell is that? Sexually explicit and torture? I must have level 6-8008 clearance. I don't know. That's crazy. That is such a small scroll bar. There's so much. What the fuck? It's a guy. There is so much here. What the fuck? What? Hello? With no context, it's nuts. What is this puddle? I think it was oil, it said. Yeah, so this is nuts. This is crazy. So, I mean, that's basically the end of it. That's all I really wanted to do. I just wanted to read some SCPs. I did it for 30 minutes, which I didn't mean to. I have to leave now, so I'm going to edit this probably tonight. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. I mean, ideally this will be uploaded by the end of Friday. It's later than I wanted it to be again, but I've got other things I've got going on. I just got accepted for a new job. I don't want to work it. I'll talk about it at some point. Whatever. It's fine. Like and subscribe. Should say that earlier in these videos so that maybe someone who actually watches it will see it, because at the end, who's really watching this dude read SCP stuff for 29 minutes? That's insane. I wouldn't. Maybe I would. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, that's all I got. Bye.